This is Newsroom. Hello and welcome from Johannesburg in South Africa. I'm Katrien Malan. The show is live and broadcast from our studios in Auckland Park, Johannesburg. We are also streaming live on YouTube with the entire show available on our YouTube channel. Now today it is all about celebrating the year gone by. Today we celebrate along with the channel our first birthday. We'll look at some highlights of this year and some funny highlights and some clips that we've been finding in our archive recently. But before we get to that, Eben is standing by on the rooftop and we'll cross to him a bit later. But first let's just have a look at what's making headlines this morning. The World Health Organization will launch a $100 million response plan today during a meeting with nations affected by the deadly Ebola virus. This as the death toll from the outbreak has now hit 729. The current outbreak is the worst since the disease first emerged in Africa nearly 40 years ago. Gauteng police are investigating yet another case of assault linked to road rage. This time a 65-year-old man was allegedly punched several times in the face in Pretoria after he bumped his car into another. A video taken by a fellow motorist has been posted online and comes days after a man was arrested after he was filmed attacking a motorist in Johannesburg. No arrests have been made yet. Israel and Hamas have, as of 8 o'clock this morning, entered a 3-day humanitarian truce in the Gaza Strip. The truce will end the 3 weeks of fighting. The UN and the US announced that the two sides agreed to the humanitarian truce and for indirect talks to be held in Cairo. The ongoing conflict has left more than 1,440 Palestinians dead, along with more than 50 Israelis. Then Twitter was abuzz yesterday after two giraffes were reportedly left stranded on the N1 in Pretoria when the vehicle they were being transported in broke down. According to a witness, the one giraffe hit its head on the Garsfontein Bridge. The giraffe has since died and the other was transported to a place of safety. Then at the Commonwealth Games, with 2 days of the competition left, Team South Africa have surpassed their medal haul at the last Commonwealth Games in New Delhi, India 4 years ago. The latest gold medal came from Cornell Fredericks, who won the team's second track and field gold medal in the 400-meter hurdles. The medal count stands at 36, 3 more than the tally in India, and with just one gold medal less than in India. Now, as mentioned earlier, today it's all about celebrating the year gone by here on Newsroom. We want to issue a special thanks to all of our viewers and all of the support that we've received over the years. Now, our Newsroom broadcast today, our producer Anin Dormel also managed to meet with the head of SABC's 24-hour news channel, Themba Mthembu, to talk a bit to him about the show and the channel celebrating a year of broadcasting.
Yes, thank you, Eben. I am joined now by Mr. Mthembu. We're in his office, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about celebrating our first year on television. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Mthembu. As we know, the channel celebrates, 1 year this month with August, and it's been a big news year. What have some of the highlights been for you this year?
Well, there have been major highlights. In fact, the very launch to me was a highlight, and to imagine that we had very little time to actually put our resources together to launch a channel of this nature was for me an important milestone. And if I look at the programming, and I can mention or two of the programs that have really set the scene ablaze in terms of the way that they've gone about in their broadcasting, and your program, Newsroom, is one such program. I think thanks to Eben and the team, you guys have transformed the show into something that is now a trendsetter in terms of how all the platforms sort of can converge into one. I'm talking here about television, digital media, etc., the social media, the integration thereof. You guys have actually been a trendsetter in that sense.
With Newsroom being your brainchild, where do you actually see this program, going in the next year, and what is your hopes for a program like Newsroom?
So successful is the program that there've been talks about us actually having a similar program in the evening. But I don't want to talk more now about the schedule that we want to unveil in a short while. But there's a sense that we can actually take some of the elements of the newsroom and export them to our nightly schedule. So that's the sense that I have of the newsroom. Yes.
Yes. And being 1 year old now, you know, the whole channel, there's still a lot of growth. And what do you think now going forward for the whole channel will we see?
You know, there are lots of interesting things that we're planning. I wouldn't want now to let the cat out of the bag, as it were. But there are lots of things that we're planning to introduce into the channel. One site will be, for instance, traffic reporting, which will be done in a very innovative way, in a way that has never been seen in the country. And we're looking also to, let me not talk much about and other projects that we're planning for the channel, but I can assure you that the viewers out there at home will really appreciate the kind of innovation that will be coming our way on the channel. And then
just, is there a special message today that you have for our viewers?
Well, I think the message to our viewers is thank you very much that you've been supporting us so much, since, over the past sort of 12 months. In fact, the fact that we have this channel was because of the demand that the viewers put on us. We did a research that said people want a 24-hour news operation.
And our newsroom, we have a saying at the end of every show. We say, we love it in the morning. So, Mr. Mtembu, if you could maybe just tell the viewers to remember to watch Newsroom, because we love it in the morning.
Please do watch Newsroom, because I also love it in the morning. Thank you.
Accra is a beautiful city of contradictions.
Funerals in Ghana are colorful and flamboyant. Ghana coffins are functional coffins made by specialized carpenters. These colorful objects, which have developed out of figurative palanquins, are not only coffins but considered real works of art. Each year, festivals and durbars are held in various parts of the country to celebrate the heritage of the people.
That's Kaleidoscope, Sundays 5:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Across the globe, the continent and the entire country, every second there's always a breaking story. SABC News is your reliable eye, ear and information system in bringing you events as they happen. Our cutting-edge and hard-hitting journalism leaves no stone unturned, giving you the whole picture every time. Join us every day on SABC3 and know what is happening around you. SABC News, Africa's news leader.
Have we seen the last of you in politics?
I don't know. No, I'm just okay now with the work that I'm doing. Let me just do one thing at a time. So I don't have any plans for politics.
Watch Question Time with me, Mpho Tsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News channel.
Very good morning to you, of course. Eben Jansen is my name. It's nice to be with you on this very special morning broadcast, our first broadcast for SABC News, the channel itself, and then, of course, the show as well is having its, well, first 52nd week that we've been on air, and it's been a lot of trials and tribulations, but we're here, we're doing well, thanks mainly to you. Now, with me in studio this morning is the acting CEO of the SABC, Mr. Tiaan Olivier, who joins us this morning. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Eben, and morning to the viewers.
A year on in a process that many gave you really no chance to pull off and turn it into the success that it has. The SABC News channel is now maturing, doing very well in a competitive market. What are your views?
Well, we're very proud of the channel. It's 1 year old today. The SABC is also 78 years old today. So it's a proud day for us. There's double celebrations happening. Yeah, a lot of people were skeptic that we would be able to launch a channel and be able to fund it with the funding that we said we got. But we're able to pull it off. The channel is still in its infancy. It's a pilot phase for us. We are working towards the full-fledged channel on DTT platforms when we switch over to DTT. It'll be one of the channels that we will launch, and it has always been our aim to make our programs and our services available to the rest of the country, so that everybody has got access to a 24-hour news service, which I think in the current day and age that we live in, that 24-hour news is important for everybody to have to be informed.
Just quickly, the DTT sort of time frames, can you give us maybe a little insight as to what we're looking at?
We are working closely with government and getting ready for the launch of DTT. Internationally, we have to switch over to digital transmissions by middle of next year. Thereafter, the protection of the frequencies on the analog platforms can no longer be assured. So we're working hard towards moving towards the DTT launch.
What does the future hold for the channel itself and then also for the greater SABC?
We're working currently on a new lineup of the channel. We are looking at making some changes to the schedule, improving the quality and the depth of the news coverage that we're going to have in the future.
It's been a year with a lot of highlights, some lowlights. What are the events that stand out for you in the last 12 months?
For the channel, the events for me was the opening. We had the president here in person, which was an honor to have. We also had the news coverage of the funeral of our beloved Mr. Mandela, and then also the amount of coverage that we were able to give on the elections, which I think went very well. We have received many accolades on our election coverage. We've also had visits from other African countries that's going into elections this year to learn from us how we covered the elections. We're working closely with them on that.
I want to not politicize things, but I want to get a little insight. I think it's a question that many people ask. Mainstream media in South Africa has a real hunting pack mentality towards the SABC. How does the organization and the individual in this case, how do you deal with this often unfair criticism that the SABC gets?
We're aware of the noise outside. I refer to it as noise. I said to senior management when I met with them this week that we focus internally on what we can influence and what we can manage. We are not spending too much time on the external noise. We are focusing internally. We're pushing things forward here. We manage day to day internally. That is our job. If we're going to start worrying about the external noise, we're going to lose focus on what we have to achieve. We are moving forwards here internally. We take cognizance of it. We are not deaf to that, but our main focus is internally.
Finally, your message to the country at large and then also internally to the people that have worked on this project and turned it into the success that it has after a year?
First, internally, I appreciate the hard work that our news crews have done. Also, our facility people who support the news studios, and also management. A lot of hard work went into it. Externally, our viewers, we appreciate their loyalty. We appreciate the affinity. Every pair of eyes who watch our programs and every pair of ears that listen to our radio services, we appreciate. And we are working hard to bring better services to them and to fulfill and comply with our public mandate.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today on this special day, first birthday for the SABC News channel and also the 78th birthday for the SABC at large. That in itself is a wonderful achievement. Thank you, Mr. Tianolifi, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for the honor.
Well, time for us to take a look at what's been happening on social media. Of course, we love your views at SABC Newsroom. That's where we live. Womentality says, happy birthday. Amazing team, world-class production and relevant news daily. May you go from strength to strength. Thank you very much to Womentality, of course. Justice Project South Africa at jpsa.org. Thanks at SABC Newsroom for their dedication to road safety. First and only news to feature it regularly at the Gift of the Givers. Also, of course, yes, we've decided at the beginning of the year that we will look a little bit differently at road safety in South Africa, and not only bring you the numbers of how many people die on our roads over the Christmas period. Just Adam, one of the hottest young artists in South Africa, says at SABC Newsroom, happy birthday. Thank you very much to Just Adam there. New innovation, you are only a year old and already playing in the big league. Keep up the great show. Happy birthday at SABC Newsroom. Here's to many, many more. Thank you very much to New Innovation. Nadia Romanos says, can't believe it's already been a year. Happy first birthday at SABC Newsroom. Keep up the great work. That's, well, there you have at Katrine, at Mal Katrine, of course. That's our co-anchor at Eben Jansen, myself, of course, and Anine D, of course. Those are the people that produce the show here at Kasati today. At SABC Newsroom, wishes all broadcasters an awesome day. Amandla, yes, thank you very much to Kasatu there for keeping us in their thoughts on this very special day. Now we're going to take, well, we're going to take a look at all the highlights and the lowlights, and there have been quite a few bloopers as well in the year that we've had. But before we go there, let's take a quick look at what the views are of all the newspapers around the world. In Europe, we have the Daily Telegraph is reporting on how a 40-year-old New South Wales case police may have solved after arresting a 61-year-old man over the rape and murder of a teen beauty queen, causing quite a stir in the United Kingdom. We go across the pond, as they say. The International New York Times is looking at the story of experts who've reached the crash site of MH17 in the Ukraine. It's become a real political playball. Also here on the continent, in Nigeria, the Vanguard has a picture of one of their athletes, Blessing Okagbare, celebrating a victory at the Commonwealth Games on the front page there. Yes, the gold rush is on for Team South Africa as well at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland, where I must say, finally the rain came yesterday. It looked like they were having a heat wave there the last couple of weeks, well, the last couple of days. Didn't look like Scotland at all, but the rain returned yesterday and order is restored. Katrine? Little tough start to the morning so far,
yeah,
but
a busy start. I saw back from the roof.
Back from the roof, it didn't quite.
Running up and down this morning.
Didn't quite pan out, but you know, this is part of live TV.
Well,
you know,
there
we have the rooftop camera. Wonderful views of the city of gold. Of course, that's the picture you see. We start there, Brixton, of course, the Brixton murder and robbery squad right behind the Centec Tower. That's where we broadcast from to the world and to the nation and to the continent. As you see, those views go on. The facilities there, University of Johannesburg's facilities right next to it. We've got wider views of the show us the city of gold there, the economic hub of South Africa. We've got a pan that's going to go all the way around, show you the city, and as we go forward on the show, we'll be broadcasting from the roof. We'll be connecting directly with the city. Hopefully all the opinion makers and power players will be able to join us and give you a view of the city, not just the city, but the economic hub and all the stories that happen in this great city of ours.
And
but
we will start broadcasting there from Monday, right?
Yep, from Monday we'll be using there. You have a wonderful view. That's the Hilbert Tower in the background, as you can see. The city, Ponty there next to it on the right. Some people have called it a few, you know, it's the gasworks here in the front. That's, of course, as you go down towards Richmond. Melville will be on the left. But there is Johannesburg, and that will be the broadcast position that we'll be using from Monday. Yeah. But Katrine, a very nice day. It's always nice to celebrate a birthday. What are the main points that stand out for you?
I can't believe that it's already been a year. I've only been here for a couple of months, though, but just being part of this team and just celebrating with our viewers. You saw all the tweets coming in. It was at Womentality, it was JPSA. All these people and these guests that we've met over the last couple of months who've just made it so much more, the content on the show, just so much more fun to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there have been many highlights, and today it's all about celebrating the year gone by. It's been a terrific year for SABC News and all of us here at Newsroom. Thanks mainly to you, the viewers, who've shown us terrific support for this specific show and for the wider channel.
We've experienced the weird, the wonderful and the wacky on Newsroom, and this week while digging through our archives we came across surely one of our most unforgettable interviews to date. Dr. H.Q. Nala, a Durban pastor, outraged provincial health departments in December last year with claims that he can cure HIV/AIDS with his so-called holy water, or what he calls it, faith water. Let's just have a look back at that interview with Dr. H.Q. Nala.
Tell us, please explain to us how the faith water that you sell, how this medication works, and how does that water cure HIV and other illnesses?
It is through faith of people who believe, like God spoke to me, He will use anything branded my name. It is according to the person's faith, then the person gets healed.
So you have to believe in God in order to be healed. But is there a cost? That how much do you charge for the water that God blesses?
15 rand.
15 rand a litre?
No, 500 ml.
500 ml, and you have to drink that water every day for a period, or only drink it once?
No instruction from on our side. It is according to the person's faith. Some people drink a liquid drop, some people drink the whole bottle or number of bottles. It depends on the person's faith.
And where does the water come from? Is it any water that is blessed by you, or do you have to get it from a specific mountain or somewhere specific?
I'm not sure where the company makes it, because we ordered it from the company and branded with our names.
Okay, it's branded water, very sophisticated. What do you say to the health department who says that you are preying on innocent people and you could be killing people by telling them to stop taking antiretroviral medication, especially those who are suffering from HIV/AIDS?
Number one, this is a mineral water. Number two, I've never ordered anyone to not take ARVs when you drink this water. People drink water out of their faith. Like anyone practices faith, it's their right to practice their faith on the water. And some of these people who come here, I don't know them if they have HIV and AIDS. And until they come back to me with a testimony from the doctors, now they are declared HIV negative.
So you have medical evidence that this is the case. If that's the case, then you realize that you've single-handedly solved the problem of disease and HIV/AIDS in the world.
I don't think it's only me. I think there are many men of God out there. Maybe some of them they haven't discovered, or people haven't come forth with a testimony. But I have piles of testimony in my office of people who have been diagnosed HIV positive, and thereafter, after drinking this water, and they discovered that they are HIV negative. And some of these people, they have not even started taking ARVs, and they come back with a report from the doctors.
But Doctor, there are other Christian ministries in KwaZulu-Natal. For instance, Pastor Vusi Dube, who says that you are a fraud and that you are misleading desperate people.
Fraud, misleading people? I don't think so. People come to my church because they know me. I'm a man of God. They are not coming to buy faith water. They come to my service. Faith water is one of the methods that we use to heal people. What people think of me, their opinion, it doesn't define me. It defines what they think about me, not exactly who I am.
So let's talk about the other stuff that you have. You say it's not only faith water, but Nala mandate promotional materials. You've got things like T-shirts and miracle cloths, to mention a few, that you claim can handle disease. How does a miracle cloth, for instance, how does that cure you of any disease?
It all started like any church. They will make T-shirts. Like Faith Water, we didn't make it for healing people. It was for the event, and people, through their faith, placed their faith on anything branded my name, and they got healed. They poured in some testimonies. That's when we began to pay attention. Then we started to make those products, and it's helping thousands of people in Durban every day.
Well, Katrine, you know, that was one of the weirdest interviews that I've ever done in my career that now spans 20 years this year, and I can tell you...
I actually remember that was one of the first shows that I did as producer in the behind the scenes, and I was sitting there, I'm like, are you serious?
15 Rand, not for a litre, for half a litre, and it
ml.
sorts out all your problems. We've got high blood, diabetes,
I remember
HIV,
it's mineral
AIDS.
water that they get from the factory.
I liked what he said. He said, we get it from the factory and they put on a label, but then he blesses it and then it works.
Yes.
So, you know, that was, well, way out on the weird meter. But then, of course, we also had the wonderful during the year. We had the honor to celebrate with political activist, Rivonia trialist and Robben Island political prisoner, Andrew Mlangeni, his 89th birthday this year. Tata Mlangeni shared with us his love of golf and a cause that lies very close to his heart, that of providing care and blankets during the cold months for the elderly of South Africa. Celebrating a very special 89th birthday from us here at Newsroom. Happy birthday, Tata Mlangeni. Let's take a look at this clip. Special day for a special person. Happy birthday, Bro Andrew.
Thank you, yes, sir. Thank you very much.
If I can start with you today, Bro Andrew, special day, 89 years today. Tell us, how are you going to celebrate today?
On a very, very small scale, my wife used to, at Christmas time, invite the elderly people in our streets, old men and women, just to come and have coffee or tea and some biscuits.
Yeah.
That's how it started. So every year, she used to invite people. You know, actually from 1995.
Yeah.
But it actually took form in 1997 when we started to, when the demand for more coffee and tea and biscuits became greater.
Yes.
We then decided that we should raise some money from people who could help,
yeah,
and buy blankets, and actually bought a cow.
Yeah,
slaughtered a cow, and I raised enough money at the time just to slaughter a cow and prepare meals for the elderly people, in addition to the blankets that we give them. Yeah.
I want to talk
now. Later on, of course, Mr. Rosataba and many of these friends came along and said, "Man, we want you to leave a legacy." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "No, we want this thing to continue, this giving of blankets to the elderly people to continue even after they have died." He can tell you more about it.
Thank you very much. Happy birthday, Tata.
Thank you.
It's really for the foundation.
Give me a kiss, man. Thank you.
Yeah, indeed, old but not cold, huh?
No, one of the sweetest guys I've ever met here on the show. Like that morning, he even showed up, I think, an hour early for his interview. I was so impressed.
That's incredible, the kind of respect. That's the kind of people that make a difference in this world. Rivonia trialist, one of the humblest men you'll ever meet, and a killer golfer at 89. He still plays with a 14 handicap. I couldn't believe it.
Well, then, over the last year, we've also had our fair share of heated arguments, with one person in particular coming to mind, Mr. Gerard Papenfuss, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Employers Association of South Africa, has been a regular on the show, and his presence is never without a certain level of intensity.
Katrine, that's a bit of an understatement, to be honest. Now, in January, Mr. Papenfuss joined us after a statement released by NIASA that claimed that the 2013 matric results were politically motivated, that matriculants couldn't read or write when they came into the workplace. He said, he even stated that they could hardly count to 10.
More recently, Mr. Papenfuss also joined us to talk about NIASA not accepting NUMSA's deal to end the strike in the metal sector. Let's just take a look back at both these incidents.
Again, we cannot teach children certain
Again, it's
skills.
very irresponsible on your part to make such a gross generalization and say that people who come out of matric in South Africa don't have the necessary skills to work into to add up, to count, to spell, and that sort of thing. It's unless you have the numbers and the statistics to back that up, it's a gross generalization. I think you'd agree with me.
No, of course it's a generalization. Of course there are exceptions. What I'm saying is, matriculants finishing school, of course there are students that has that abilities, of course. What are we saying is that coming out of school, you need to start from day one to equip yourself, better your skills in order to make you ready for the job market. Employers has the responsibility to pick the best, and if an employer will only pick the best.
Yes, but they also have a responsibility to train those people. So we can't expect people to walk off the street and be out of a matric senior certificate. I certainly wasn't ready. Walk straight out of matric and walk into the workplace and be ready for whatever that job may be. The employer has the responsibility to invest in their staff. Surely they do.
The employer pick the best and then train. You pick the best and then you train. You go for the best and then you train the best. Employers, there is a social responsibility on employers, but they have to look at the interests of their businesses. So you pick the best and then train the best, and then you improve on the best. If a person fails certain criteria right from the outset, well, you're not going to get work. So, of course, it's a very general statement, and we've seen there are matriculants that did extremely well, of course. But the thing is, those that did well are people who are taking responsibility of their lives. And my advice to any child now is take responsibility for your life. And, you know, if you walk into a workplace with a good attitude of, I want to learn, I think there's the greatest attribute that a prospect worker, work seeker, can have is that of an attitude of, sir, I want to learn, because that is the biggest problem that we're having in our society.
That is the case all around the world with young people. It's not just the case in South Africa. I think we have to sometimes hold ourselves back when we criticize our own country always for people having a lack of aptitude and attitude, because young people all around the world have that same sort of problem. Also, I think it's a little bit dangerous for us to say South Africans, when they come out of matric, they are not ready to enter into the job market. That in itself, I think you'd agree with me, if we don't have the numbers and we don't have the statistics, would be a little bit irresponsible.
Well, our education system does not stand in high regard in the world. Definitely not.
By whom? If you make the statement, then you should say this agency who's done this study says that our education system is not held in high regard. Again, it's a gross generalization.
Well, it is. This is not a generalization. This is a fact. Even in Africa standards, and if I say even in Africa, this is the continent in which we operate. If you go across our borders north of us, they will tell you that South Africans, we know our schooling system is in huge difficulty. We know
How do we know?
Well, our teachers are involved. Our teachers are involved in politics. Children, they don't.
But that's the case all around the world, Mr. Papenfuss. Is that you have labor unions and teachers unions all around the world that are involved in these processes. We can't only knock our own country and say, oh, only South Africa, it's so bad, when it's not the case. Historically speaking, if we look at where we come from, I come from a community where there were 4 towns. When I went to school, there was not one school for black people in that town. Not one. In 4 towns. Not one school for black South Africans. So if you look at our legacy and where we are today, I think South Africa is a great success story.
You mean if a children has a 30% pass rate in a subject, we said that's okay, go into the work market.
We should not be hung up on the 30% pass rate, but we should look at the success and we should look at the future and what we are trying to achieve in South Africa. It's very easy for us to stand on the soapbox and try and break it all down when there are so many South Africans who are trying to build it.
So we're sitting with an employment rate of more than 37%.
These are economic factors and socioeconomic factors. They have nothing to do with our education system. But my director tells me now, Mr. Pampus, that we've run out of time, unfortunately. Well, I can say that I've interviewed Gerard Papenfuss twice after that interview, and he gave me a hug both times after the interview. So he was a very happy camper with me. But that's the beauty about South Africa and about building democracy, is that we can have different opinions and we can debate and we can be passionate about what we believe in, because that is how we make South Africa better. That is how we make the SABC better. And that, Katrina, is how we made Newsroom better in the end.
No, agreed. And like I must say, we met Gerard Papenfuss earlier this week on the Nihasa Numsa story. And what a great guy. Always willing to shed light on some of the matters in this country.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at what you're talking about on social media. Here we have, of course, views. The world is still carrying on despite our first birthday today. Happy birthday, SABC Newsroom. Ketu Nkwama says, what will we be without your informative everyday news? Here's to another year of greatness. Thank you very much, Ketu. Kanyishani Ndlomu says, today marks exactly a year since the SABC's 24-hour television news channel, DSTV 404, was launched. Happy first birthday. Thank you very much.
Happy birthday to hashtag SABC Newsroom for keeping us in touch with the updates of the indirect war we face every day.
I like that.
Yes, and well done to SABC Newsroom for a good show in its first year. Keep up the great work. Fun working with, well, that's my Twitter handle, and then Anin Dormal, our producer, and the entire team. Katu Mashao, he's from Innovation. He joined us earlier this week.
Oh, you didn't even mention me then. I feel like chopped liver, Katu. Godfrey says at SABC News, halala to all crew members. We love you. Keep it up. Happy birthday. Thank you, Godfrey.
Thank you so much.
We try and show up every night. Tonya Curry, who works with us from Roy, happy birthday to the most amazing news team. Great work from great people. Thank you very much, Tonya.
Oh, you mentioned
it means a lot to us.
Well, let's also just take a look at what's been happening on our Newsroom Facebook page. As Eben said earlier, the world is not standing still. And there you'll find today that the Right to Know campaign wants a secrecy application by the South African National Roads Agency in the Western Cape High Court to be dismissed. You can also read more on President Jacob Zuma saying he wants to keep his communications with the National Prosecuting Authority in the so-called spy tapes case secret, and on Israel and Palestinian militant groups in the Gaza Strip who have agreed to a 3-day humanitarian truce to begin this morning. You can find all these stories and more on our Facebook page, facebook.com/SABC Newsroom.
Yeah, time for us to take a short commercial break. Newsroom will be back with a little bit more of the fun stuff of what we did in the last year right after this.
Have we seen the last of you in politics?
I don't know. No, I'm just okay now with the work that I'm doing. Let me just do one thing at a time. So I don't have any plans for politics.
Watch Question Time with me, Mphotsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News channel.
Jessica the hippo was found after she was washed down the river shortly after birth. Today, she is a large hippo and still returns for feeding and human interaction.
She also loves body exfoliating. Yes, she has a mask as well.
Jessica is the world's most famous hippo, and perhaps she's the only one who has forgotten how aggressive she's supposed to be.
That's Kaleidoscope, Sundays 5:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Across the globe, the continent and the entire country, every second there's always a breaking story. SABC News is your reliable eye, ear and information system in bringing you events as they happen. Our cutting-edge and hard-hitting journalism leaves no stone unturned, giving you the whole picture every time. Join us every day on SABC1 and know what is happening around you. SABC News, Africa's news leader.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the news making headlines this morning. The World Health Organization will launch a $100 million response plan today during a meeting with the nations affected by the deadly Ebola virus. This as the death toll from the outbreak has now hit 729. The current outbreak is the worst since the disease first emerged in Africa nearly 40 years ago. Gauteng police are investigating yet another case of assault linked to road rage. This time, a 65-year-old man was allegedly punched several times in the face in Pretoria after he bumped his car into another. A video taken by a fellow motorist has been posted online and comes days after a man was arrested after he was filmed attacking a motorist in Johannesburg. No arrests have been made yet. Israel and Hamas have, as of 8 o'clock this morning, entered a 3-day humanitarian truce in the Gaza Strip. The truce will end 3 weeks of fighting. The UN and the US announced that the two sides agreed to the humanitarian truce and for indirect talks to be held in Cairo. The ongoing conflict has left more than 1,440 Palestinians dead, along with more than 50 Israelis. Now, Twitter was abuzz yesterday after 2 giraffes were reportedly left stranded on the N1 in Pretoria when the vehicle they were being transported in broke down. According to the witness, the one giraffe hit its head on the Garsfontein Bridge. The giraffe has since died and the other transported to a place of safety. At the Commonwealth Games, with 2 days of the competition left, Team South Africa have surpassed their medal haul at the last Commonwealth Games in the New Delhi, India 4 years ago. The latest gold medal came from Cornel Fredericks, who won the team's second track and field gold medal in the 400-meter hurdles. The medal count stands at 36, 3 more than the tally in India, and with just 1 gold medal less than in India. Well, remember, all these top stories are available on our Newsroom Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Now, 2014 kicked off on a high note for the team here at Newsroom, especially the men, when we were introduced to the top 16 Miss SA finalists. The lovely ladies seemed temperatures rise in joining us with Miss SA National Executive Melinda Bam. Since there was no denying their beauty and grace, we decided to test the brains instead. Turns out the girls knew their politics, their royals and some other famous faces. However, it was the Springbok coach that challenged them the most.
You have to realize, okay, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You have to stay grounded, otherwise the public will never get to know the real you.
It's been a busy couple of days. How are the girls coping with everything?
They're doing very well. I mean, look at them. They look amazing.
They all look stunning.
And they look like this every single morning. Yeah, but you can agree, hey? Yeah. Stand on your tippy toes.
I'm feeling highly inadequate here.
They're really faring extremely well. I think through all the workshops and all the training we've given them, I know that whoever the winner is, one of the lovely ladies, she will be ready to be Miss South Africa.
Now, no, Eben can't wait anymore, so let's hand back over to him.
Can you switch on the mic? Can you switch on the mic, please? Yeah, the mic's on. Oh,
you look like Elvis.
Okay, great. Guys, we were going to do a quiz. I had a whole quiz planned, but because Katrina and Melinda really did such a long interview and wasted all of our time, so I'm just going to have a bit of fun with our producer here, Anton, to prove to the world that beauty now in South Africa has brains. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, Anton, can you put up the pictures, please? We got picture five pictures, I think, of very famous people, and whoever knows it puts up their hand and gives us an answer. The one who answers the most questions is Ms. Newsroom, and you're in a trip around the world today. Okay, come on, Anton, put up the picture. Who is that? There you go, my dear. Your name and then who that is.
My name is Didi Malo, and that is Cyril Ramaphosa.
We have a winner. Okay, right, next picture, Anton. Come on, mate, you're slow. We're running out of time. And who is that?
We know it is. We know the face.
Never forget a face. Is that rugby coach? Are you Afrikaans and you don't know who that is?
Hi, I'm Abigail. It's Heineke Meyer, or Heineke Meyer.
Abigail is from Nelspruit. Yeah, I went through your process. Abigail's from Nelspruit and she knows her rugby. I've done my work. Okay, Anton, keep going, my friend. We're running out of time here. This is a lot of fun. And who is that? Okay, my dear.
Hello, I'm Rulien Strauss, and that is Princess Kate.
Rulien Strauss, that is Princess Kate. Very well. We've got 3 out of 3. Okay. Give us a difficult one, Anton. We're almost there. Okay. Okay, now.
Hi, this is Ipozake, and that is Dr. Mampela Rampela.
Rampele.
Rampele, sorry.
It's not my mother tongue, but I know, you see. Okay, Anton, last one. Last one. It feels a bit like Miss South Africa already from you. Good evening, you're watching Miss South Africa. Come on, Anton. Okay, who is that? Okay, you're going to win if you get it right.
It is Mark Zuckerberg.
And who is he?
Started off Facebook, and today's 10 years of founder.
We have a winner of the Miss Newsroom competition 2014. Thank you very much. There we go. Abigail. Abigail is from Nelspruit, and she is the winner of Miss Newsroom. We're running out of time. Is it time to say goodbye now? Yeah. Melinda, thank you very much for bringing the lovely ladies here today to SABC. You were morning live a bit earlier, so it's been fantastic, great fun, great way to end the show. That's where we leave it for today. Yeah, that feels like a lifetime away, actually. It was also Katrine, mind you, it was also Katrine's very first interview here on SABC Newsroom, and I think that she did fantastically well, and she's going from strength to strength. She's really doing fantastic work on the show here. But I wanted to ask you, if you had to name a tropical storm after any of the Miss SA finalists, what is the name that you would choose?
Actually, I wouldn't say the finalists. I would take Melinda Bam. I would name a storm after her.
Melinda?
Because, yeah, she seemed like she was, pushing everybody forward and say, hey, do this. I won this before. Now you need to win it. And, so I'd give her Hurricane Bam.
Hurricane Bam. I like that. We're having a bit of fun here. It's our birthday show on Newsroom. But before we go, we're going to, a little bit of serious business with Paul. We're going to talk about tsunamis. Of course, a tsunami is a series of huge waves that can cause great devastation and loss of lives when they strike a coast. Now, Paul Manari is with us to explain what tsunamis are and to share more details on these natural events. Thanks for coming in, Paul. Just run us too. We've seen some devastating tsunamis in Asia in recent times, and then the Fukushima disaster, of course, stands out. How do they develop, and where do they really come from?
Yeah, first thing that people must know, most likely a tsunami will happen by a coastal part because, it is actually a big wave along the ocean or inside the ocean somewhere, and then they actually are caused by earthquakes under the sea bottom. So that's what happens. The earthquake comes in, shatters probably from a fault line or so, and then they create these big, massive waves, and it usually comes 1 and 2 after the other because a ripple of an earthquake, you feel it, and then there's aftershocks as well. So those aftershocks, that's what leading to earthquakes coming. And you can see big boats, they're already ramming against
this was one of the great disasters of the modern era, the Sendai province in Japan, where we simply saw the entire town just being swept away as the water level just continued to rise. There, we've got a minibus taxi coming over the over the water's edge. It's ridiculous, the power that you're dealing with.
Yeah, that's actually that man-made bank there. It's actually quite high enough to keep water away, no matter how large the waves. But after a tsunami, you can't really keep a big wave of up to 20 meters high. You can't keep it away from those banks as well, and they will eventually cross over, and you'll see how the devastation it causes as it passes by. It destroys buildings, buildings up to 2 stories can actually be toppled down.
How far do these waves go inland when they hit the shore?
That actually depends on how big the earthquake was. If you remember the 2004 tsunami in Southeast Asia, that one was quite massive, and the waves kept coming, and that went as far as into mainland of just along Southeast Asian coast. So you can expect anything from 4
kilometers and kilometers
into.
Yeah. And it just sort of flattens and wipes everything in its path.
Everything. And the water is actually very strong because it pushes trucks, it pushes houses, anything. I mean, human lives are actually at danger, at risk when tsunamis hit.
Paul, and quickly, are we in danger here on the African coast of ever being hit by tsunamis?
No, not really. You should see the African coast, or rather Africa, we have a very strong plate underneath us. There's actually these continental plates that you find underneath any continent. And we've got the African plate, which is one of the strongest ones. We never have earthquakes really here. I mean, we've got minor shocks caused by mining and so on. But, you know, in terms of seismology and all of that, we never really get those earthquakes under the sea. But if you look at places like Japan, they under what we call the ring of fire, where 5 plates come together. And those are very weak, and the movement of those plates
there's a lot of action. Now, Paul, we're going to have to leave it. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you, Herman. Birthday cake for Newsroom for our first birthday. This is our entire Newsroom team, by the way. These are the people that make the show happen. We fight, we argue, we swear at each other, we do all kinds of stuff, but in the end, we get the job done. Calvin Mabuza on the far left. Bonginkosi Mapanga, of course, Katrine Malan, Ayanda Flatswayo, Lindo Mel, and Lindo is our intern that's hopefully going to start with us shortly. And where's John? Where's John? John Tsatsimpi's been fired, I've been told. You don't have to come back to work again, John. Thank you very much. This is Newsroom, guys. What do we do when we say goodbye?
We love it in the morning.
Thank you.